This bill likely flew under the radar for many parents, despite the fact that it had a number of community meetings, public hearings, revisions throughout this legislative session. But now that it's been signed into law, all kids in public schools in our state are going to learn more about the contributions of LGBTQ people. A new state law in Washington is mandating a whole new lesson plan for public school students that includes the history of underrepresented groups, including LGBTQ.
I don't believe that's the state's responsibility.
It really flew under the radar for many parents, using words like diversity, equity, and inclusion, but not specifically sexual orientation.
When you break down, our main reason for being opposed to it is more or less bringing the sexualization of children up at a very young age.
I think that this is based off of a stereotype. Acknowledging the existence of LGBT people does not inherently sexualize anybody, doesn't promote sexual behavior.
The new lessons are to be age appropriate, developed by June of 2025. The committees creating the curricula can include parents, but parents must make up less than 50% of the members on the committee.
This bill forcing curriculum selection that would praise and highlight gay pride activists or gender-confused individuals will only drive more parents away as our public education system seeks to promote agendas over public education.
I think that we should pump the brakes. The fact is, we just need to get back to reading, writing, and arithmetic.
But Danny Eschini with the Gender Justice League takes it back to studies that show kids who see others like themselves in school have better attendance records and have higher achievements.
Christy Bennett is a high school teacher in Sammamish, Washington. She leads her school's Gender Sexuality Alliance and is bisexual herself, so she knows the importance of representation for students.
I've seen firsthand how important an inclusive curriculum can be and how life-changing it can be to help a student see themselves in the curriculum instead of some old dead white guys from the 1700s.
And there it is.
There are a number of people who are now very concerned that this new curricula will only exacerbate the existing exodus of students leaving public schools here in Washington. If that happens, there could be some districts strapped for cash since funding is based on enrollment.
The city council just voted to make Sacramento a sanctuary city for transgender people.
The resolution passed unanimously after a large group of people, mostly in support of the measure, had a chance to be heard on the issue. It states, while California has been a leader in protecting transgender rights to access care, many other states across the country are moving in the opposite direction. They have legislation that could criminalize people providing or seeking gender-affirming care. The resolution ensures no city resources would be used to detain people wanting care or cooperate with other jurisdictions trying to enforce such laws.
It's already making headlines. California, as we know, is a transgender sanctuary state. So you may be asking, what does this mean? Well, supporters of the city council resolution, they say that it's a way for leaders here to send a strong message that they will protect the rights of anyone wanting access to gender-affirming care.
And this resolution came to me from transgender constituents.
The state of California could become the nation's next sanctuary city for transgender people.
Similar to how we've declared ourselves a sanctuary city for immigrants and asylum seekers, we are directing city staff not to spend time with complying with enforcement actions from other states.
Of the 23 states banning access, roughly 5 have made it a felony crime if doctors offer gender-affirming care. The binding resolution would prevent local authorities from using any city resources to help aid in outside investigations.
If we're so progressive in Sacramento, why are we going against what all these European countries are doing? This does not make sense.
I think it's absolutely vital. It helps to provide care to folks who aren't able to access it, but more importantly, it sends a message to folks in Sacramento that says we don't agree with people who say that trans kids should not exist, that trans kids are faking it.
We have a lot of people in other states right now that are trying to litigate against trans people. We have a lot of trans people fleeing hostile states to us. So it's important for us to be able to protect them, to envelop them, and welcome them.
This sanctuary city is saying that we will promote the idea that people could be born in the wrong body and that we will kidnap children coming into our state or into our city to give them these surgeries. And we cannot be doing that.
I'm Leigh Finke. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I represent
66A in the Minnesota House of Representatives, which includes this space that we are currently standing. So welcome to my district. So we passed the trans refuge bill. It was a great success. It was a remarkable moment for the community. We had the support of the governor. We had up and down the DFL party was behind us, and that was essential in our ability to get that done. And to get it done relatively quickly. We had that signed into law May 2nd or something like that. Like by the end of April, we were done, and it was a big victory. And it was a one-time victory, and it was a statement of a promise that we would protect trans people. If they needed to get gender-affirming care, they could. If they lived here, if they came here, if they moved here, we would protect you. And the important thing about trans refuge is that it is not a one and done kind of vote. You can't protect someone one time and then say you're done, right? It is a promise. It is saying we will do this. We will look out for you when you get here, and as long as you are here. So when we started that process, it was with the expectation that people might come to Minnesota from nearby states. When we introduced the bill, 11 states had started, or 7 had actually passed laws that restricted gender affirming care. 11, an additional 4 were in the process of it at the time. And then when we finished that bill, I think it was like 17 states. So the need just continued to become self-evident as we move forward. By the time we got to today, it's like 27 states or something like that. I'm not sure. It's a really dystopian situation for our community, and it has been for a long time. This is a lot of background just to say, when I arrived and the Queer Caucus arrived at the Minnesota Capitol, things were so rapidly declining for the trans community that it's almost impossible to overstate the importance of what Minnesota did last year. So what we're doing this year, we're really trying hard to follow through on some of the promises that we made, right? If you promise trans refuge, then we need to increase the number of people who are offering gender affirming care because we already had a shortage and now more people are coming. So we have some money, hopefully we can pass, to help entice people to move from those states who also practice gender affirming care. If you live in Missouri and all your clients can no longer access care, well, if they're leaving, you might also be interested in coming with your clients, right? And going to a place where you can serve without prosecution. We want to do internship programs and fellowship programs with Children's Minnesota and other places where people can learn gender affirming care and become more. We need to increase the number of providers.
And I want there to be like a church that is like making covers for your book that say like trigonometry, like something no adult would ever want to look at.
I mean, it's that kind of thing of like just strategies to get it to kids. That's what I care about.